Hi, have you ever noticed that after 2, maximum 3 years, many of your favorite varieties of tulips or hyacinths stop sprouting or become smaller or change color and don't look as beautiful as they should have? Have you thought about why? In this video, I'm going to explain different reasons that might lead to it and also how to prevent them. This video is suitable for both tulips and hyacinths in plants, in pots, and also in your garden. So keep watching. Well, the first reason is that when you don't remove your bulbs after flowering from the ground, what happens is that they produce little babies, and then because of the increased number of bulbs, they begin crowding and fight for nutrition. At the end, these bulbs, none of them get the nutrition that they deserve and don't have enough nutrients to produce beautiful bloom next year. So what do? When you see that the leaves became yellow and started wilting, what you need to do is to dig them out of the ground and clean them, dry them, and put in a dark, dry place, cooler place, not 30-40 degrees. Usually it's somewhere in a shade where it's dry, and keep them there until it's time to plant them the next season. So now let's talk about second reason. If you dig your bulbs out of the soil and keep them in this weather, in the dry, warm weather, what happens is that they get exposure to the higher temperature than if they would still stay in the ground in a cold, dry soil, because it would be in summer colder than the air. So because of this, they get this exposure to extra high temperature, and that helps them to feel like they're at home in warm climate, and it helps them get to the level of the temperature that they should get in order to rebloom next season. The third reason is that when bulbs stay in the ground, they get exposed to wet conditions, and that promotes rot. Hyacinths, in my observations, are even more prone to rot than tulips, but tulips are prone to rot as well. So then you had your beautiful flower bloom, and then in summer, early in spring, they rot, and then they just don't grow next year. Fourth reason is that you might remove your leaves from the bulbs too early. As any plants, they need time for photosynthesis, so that they produce necessary energy and nutrient for themselves to stay in the soil, to get this food, so that they have enough strength to bloom next year. If you cut your flowers together with many leaves, first of all, you deprive them this opportunity to actually feed themselves for the next year. But even if you don't cut your flowers and you let them bloom in your garden, and then once they finish blooming, you cut their leaves, then again, they don't have enough time to get enough nutrients for them to bloom next year. So what you need to do is to deadhead your plant once it's finished blooming, and then the leaves which are still left are kind of beautiful. They're green, beautiful leaves which you can leave in the ground. You can plant some other plants to cover those leaves if you don't want just to look at them, but you have to keep them as long as possible so that they are producing the food they need. Usually it means that you need to wait at least until these leaves start wilting and becoming yellow. And the fifth reason is viruses. Plants also have viruses, and similarly it's very difficult for people when they get virus to get rid of it, same happens to the plants. And unfortunately, there is no good treatments for viruses. So if you see or if you suspect that your plant gets virus, for example, if the colors that produce have uncharacteristic color for this variety, or if it has this veins of color on it, then you might suspect that it's virus. And in this situation, the only way is to remove very carefully this plant from your pot or from your ground. You need to remove it fully together with the bulb, trying not to spread this soil next to it to your plants. If you don't do it, if you just cut, for example, this plant without removing the bulb, or if you don't touch it at all, what happens is that this virus will spread to your other plants nearby, and at the end you will lose the whole plantation. Of course, there are people who think that you don't need to dig out bulbs from hyacinths and tulips. However, now that you watch this video, I hope you see the reasons why it's much better than not to remove it. Based on the practical experience, I can also say that if you have old varieties of tulips and hyacinths that you had from your grandmother, they generally more resistant to rot, for example, or to viruses, and they rebloom much better next year. However, if you have a beautiful new variety or which you love so much and which is on the market just for 10-15 years, chances are that if you don't dig them out every year, then you will lose them very soon. I hope that's been useful. I'm going to produce another video of tulips after care, so do subscribe in order not to miss this video, and check my other playlists of how to care about your garden and balcony plants. Bye.